good evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us again as we look into what the devil is going to go on this weekend and the next few days, whether we're going to see anything, what's going to be called. Probably debate terminology with people who want to come in there and flex their university degrees. I love it. And we are all prepped and ready to go. So let's hop into it because we want to get into it today. We're not going to talk around much and let's see exactly what the weather is holding for us because it looks interesting. All right, let's go. So here's our latest models. We'll start with, oh, maybe it's not the latest models. Do you want to come up there, Mr. Latest Models, or do you want to come up there later, Mr. Windy? Maybe not. Well, we'll just add you while we're talking in the background and we'll go from there because we are flexible. Hope you've all had a good day. Those who are asking about Stormcat, thank you so much. He is going really much better. Yeah, it will be, the medicine stops tomorrow. So this is going to be the big test for him just to see exactly how he copes with all the things he has to do. Basically the main thing is the bathroom stuff because that's the stuff that we already have to worry about. Obviously, that's what he went into the vet for or in the hospital for, and what's caused all the issues. So that's going to be the biggest test is when he gets off the relaxants and the things that are chilling him out right now. It's just to see how his little system handles all that sort of stuff. And hopefully, fingers crossed, he goes well and things. I mean, he's lost a bit of weight and he's looking lean, mean, and sort of stormcatty. He's off sleeping at the moment, but he's very chill because of the medicine. Obviously, makes him very any anxiety stuff. So he's been very cute and cuddly, which is the best thing. Anyway, we'll see. Let's go. We should have on your screens now a nice, fresh, updated, windy, ready to go. Let's do this. And hopefully Stormcat will come down and say good day to you. I heard him stirring before, but he's been very sleepy. It's so hilarious because he tries to jump up on my desk and be really cute, and obviously because he's very clingy at the moment, so and sleep in front of me. But because he's a bit obviously on the anti-anxiety meds and stuff, they got him on to just keep him chill. He misjudges his distance and quite often misses and falls over and looks at me like I've done something. And I'm like, it's not me. Anyway, enough yapping about me. All right, let's go. So we're heading into, obviously, we'll look at Wednesday first, and then we'll get into quickly highlight today, a bit of a two-story version, really. It's a bit warm in the west, up to 19 out there in Penrith, Richmond. G'day out to people out there. Bit cool on the coast, only 17 and 15 and 17 on the coast. And I expect it's going to get a bit cooler over the next few days as the cloud does encroach. We'll look at that radar actually right now before we pop into stuff. We can see just what is going on in terms of the potential showers tonight, if they're going to even come or not, because that was forecast. So we can see they're out west. Beautiful visual satellite picture there as the sun sets and it transfers over from that visual image to the infrared image. But you can see all that rippling effect on all the clouds over there. That's definitely the system coming through, and you can see there's obviously some shear upstairs, and that causes that sort of undulations and rippling effects and all across the clouds there. The jet stream activity, which is going to be pretty rampant over the next few days, and it's one of the things that's going to actually help whatever gets going off the coast get going and really ramp it up and intensify it, and really cause whether it's a low or a trough, we'll see in a minute, just to sit over a place for a period of time and dump some pretty significant rain. So at this stage, there's nothing really worthwhile on the radar or the satellite picture. You can see a lot of that cloud is due to some basically the winds pushing up against the Blue Mountains, and not much else happening really, to be honest. All the activities are way out here in the west, which is approaching us. Beautiful picture. You can see that cold air. We'll actually zoom right out rather than, we got some sunlight on it. A lot of cold air backing into the back of the system, which is what's going to help, obviously, across the weekend, really develop this, because beautiful cold air running into that lovely, super warm air in the southern coral sea, well, comparatively wise anyway, given the time of year. You see that little low here, beautiful on the satellite picture here, just a little surface low, wobbling away there in there up in the Great Australian Bight. It's looking Very pretty, but not very strong. As you can see, this is the action here is where the upper sort of part of that system is. So the surface part of the system is here, and you can see it sort of tilts way to the east because the upper stuff here is obviously so caught with the jet stream and pushing east, which is what's going to help our systems develop across the weekend. But yeah, beautiful satellite picture. We'll zoom in a bit more. We'll just check out. This is the thing that I'm keeping very close on. This is that extra burst of sort of potential cold air that's going to potentially flood into our system across the weekend and supercharge it. So keeping an eye on this whole mass of beautiful looking cloud there. And FYI, if you see that there was a pretty significant earthquake out in Macquarie, I think it was Macquarie Island today, 7 on the scale, which is pretty significant. No tsunami warnings that I could see. But yeah, not bad. That's a pretty big one in terms of earthquake size. All right, so we've talked wax lyrical enough about today. There's nothing, as I said, nothing really on the radar as yet that's going to even get across us at this stage. The models are sort of tossing and turning. Access this morning was leaning towards more shower activity approaching early tomorrow morning or even mid tomorrow morning, whereas EC was a bit more keen on having stuff overnight. But we should probably have a quick look at that for everybody right now before we hop into the actual fun part of it. So let's have a look what's going on tonight. Don't know if EC's updated yet, so I'll just, sorry for zooming in and out, my usual clicks. I'm just going to make sure that it's 7 hours ago. Yeah, no, not yet. We'll just go to access first, and hopefully EC will update very soon. We've got to access C because it's the higher res stuff. No, we don't want Canberra, we want Sydney. Thank you. All right, so let's have a look what he's saying for tonight. You can see there's a bit of a southeasterly flow pushing on, which is being sucked into that advancing mass to the west, which is beautiful, feeding it. Nothing at this stage. Some showers popping off the coast, which is a good sign. A couple of showers now starting to appear, according to Access C tonight anyway, on the coast. You can see, but very light and very isolated. Nothing, sort of a few popping up there, a bit like teenage acne, but nothing really dominant or suggesting that it's going to get even more. And here comes that sort of mass from the west and northwest that we were just watching on the satellite picture there. You can see it's cold enough, obviously, to even bring some flakes out Blaney Way near Bathurst, which is interesting. Start to see some impact. So actors are still running with their really tomorrow morning is seeing the sort of showery stuff starting to pop up as opposed to overnight. And no doubt, even I looked at EC, even though it's the early morning run, you can see here EC does want to start to appear a bit earlier. So it's going to be the race to see who's right here. But you can see this is this morning's run, but you see definitely cold enough. Flakes up there in the Blue Mountains or in the Western Great Dividing Range. I'm not sure who's in the Oberon Shire, apparently. But yeah, definitely looking like there's some pretty serious cold air up there. You can see, and moisture's fairly limited though. You can see there's only very light sort of showers and turning sort of scattered showers. Not a real lot of excitement there. Let's have a quick look at Icon says. It might give us a different picture. So it's a bit more of the EC spread, and this is the 0Z icon model, so it's the most recent up to date. You can see what the cause is, this bit of a southerly change, surging in overnight and colliding in with this approaching system from the west, which is this upper sort of trough system. Yeah, pretty, icon does like, which favour EC pretty much, which is, isolated showers tending more scattered, especially early tomorrow morning. Pretty cold up there in them hills. A couple little moderate falls, especially about the coast, but nothing really exciting. Pretty more just showers, light showers, maybe some light rain. Definitely likes to sort of wind up a bit more in the morning as that full satellite is pushing. You can see here definitely some better rain, more solid stuff up in the Hunter, the southern Hunter. Good for them. Definitely some more solid stuff after lunch tomorrow, according to Icon anyway. I think the good falls there. If Icon comes up, that's definitely some good falls. And I like to see lightning, as we've talked about before. That's definitely the indication of that colder air moving out across the water too. Like, good to see lightning in these sort of situations. Always interesting times ahead when you see lightning over the sea associated with these surges. So interesting. So we will see what AAC says very soon, but Access is sort of saying, Access is saying not till tomorrow, fellas, and Icon is saying, well, I think you're a bit wrong there because I think it's going to be a bit earlier than that. So Either way, you can see pretty much they're all in agreement. Once it does start, there's some decent modern showers around. It'd be pretty cool. Some good falls there though. Like you can see there. Those falls are the observational falls. So for each image, you can see 7 mils at stage. Definitely some decent falls. Even on access now. What's the temps going to be? Let's have a look. Oh, nice and chilly. 12 to 15 on a mild Wednesday afternoon is pretty cold, to be honest. So interesting. Access really ramped up some of those falls by afternoon, late afternoon, and evening. So that's nice. And then pushes it off, clears out overnight into Thursday, which is pretty much what the case has been for a couple of days now. So that'll be cool to keep an eye on. All right, this is where the activity starts. So we'll go back here. I'll keep it on the forecasted weather because you'll see they'll give us some idea of the rain and winds when it does happen, and we will dive on into it right now. Let's go. Put the normally what we do is we'll go and do the wind gusts first because it gives us an idea of what's exactly going on. So you can see here tomorrow, access definitely has that real surge of southerlies, and that lightning associated too is obviously the cold air associated with that. And as I said, it's always good to see when that comes about because it just that means that the upper temps are really cold enough to create pretty significant instability. And when you see that, there's always a good chance of deep troughs or lows around just because of that temperature differential and the lapse rate, increased lapse rate between obviously the surface and the upper levels. Let's zoom out to another zoom. We don't need to be so close into here. So this is the access equivalent. We're still looking to it. Into an into Thursday now, you can see that surge well up off the mid-north coast now. You can see that bend starting to appear as that trough starts to develop in response to obviously this cold upper air and clashing with some of that beautiful, moist, warmer air, comparatively speaking, of course, because it is end of July, early August, but the colder air won't know the difference of that. It'll just be surging north and run into something. It's like, very tasty. And this is where we start to see and we start to watch now exactly what's going on. So there's obviously this onshore flow in the south just pushing in. You can see here how the winds then hit the coast and then change direction, which is obviously good for stream showers and whatever's going to be happening. So it's going to be pretty cloudy, maybe the odd shower, but it's not going to be necessarily anything pretty significant under that. This is the activity we want to watch here, this bend. We might zoom out a bit. My God, these days I'm going to learn how to drive a mouse and start making myself motion sick. So let's push into Thursday. You can see here the trough starting to really develop in response to that collision between the two air masses. Nothing really at this stage here, but still worth watching. Again, this is access. You can see that surge is pushed right up there now into South Queensland. Generally a broad area, so we might go out just to make sure we capture it. Still nothing really sort of the onshore flow continues, but you can see this starts to bend again in the iso streams, if I get it correctly. And that's what we want to be watching. Definitely, and you can see here how the winds are converging now. So you can see across land there like a southerly with a slight sort of tints of southwesterly, and then you can see these southeasterlies converging into them right along the coast, and that's that coastal trough starting to develop in response to the upper system as well. And you can see definitely starting to push down the coast here. So access has not changed its outlook at all much at this stage. And that's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what exactly it throws out for rain. You can see it really backing right down here now. So there's two aspects here. There's this main sort of trough up here, which is that leftover or the head part, I guess, when you call it from a better term, of the southerly change that pushed through us late Wednesday, early Thursday, and then you've got this secondary stuff. You can start to see this turning here, and that's obviously something we want to watch. There's a bit of a vorticity in that coastal trough extending right down into southern New South Wales. Just skip ahead, and again you see a really complex situation. Trough line down here, bend sort of it's a curved inflow there with a pretty strong southeasterly fletch flowing into it. You can see as it hits the coast, it sort of hooks back up around. So that's going to be definitely some good rains in the Illawarra and pretty southern Sydney in that respect here. Into Friday, let's go over. I think weekends we're going to be, and then we go with the trough really pushing right down into the south coast almost now, really pushing into. You can see the Hunter though, sort of dead area there in the mid north coast, into not much happening. You can see this. You can see here on my mouse pushing down, and expecting this is where we're going to start to see things really start to wind up, because you see now how the flow starts to turn from that southeasterly, which is obviously the cool air, less capable, less moisture in it, obviously less ability to hold moisture, as opposed to the sort of moisture, warmer air on the east northeast air pouring in from the southern Coral Sea and the West Pacific Ocean and the northern Tasman, all rolled into one. They should come up with an acronym for that. It'd be pretty easier. And you can see in response, that trough really starts to fire up on the eastern side, and then we go into Friday night. You can see again really starts to push and then develop right down into the south coast now, and this is obviously where we're going to watch. So there we go into Saturday, and it definitely looks like it's trying to form a low there. Definitely, you can see that cyclonic curvature there, really inflowing, wrapping around, and very much enhanced easterly fetch, can speak, wrapping into it, really nice. But you can see the trough extending on the western side down still into the south coast, and on the eastern side way out past Lord Howe Island. Interesting. And then try to get going. Not quite still, but definitely quite a strong southeasterly flow into here. Trough extends right down, that surface trough right down, the coastal trough right down the coast. And you can see here, really symmetric, sort of deep feed. I mean, it's probably, I'm not sure if you call that a ECL at this stage. Pretty close to it, not sure, but definitely a deep trough. You see this feed here, look at this, got a solid mass of a 40 plus knot east southeasterly winds wrapping into it. Going to be some hella good rain, and then you can see as it moves towards the coast, the real focus of this is right down basically anywhere south of that sort of Seal Rocks area, the more south of Newcastle. You can see that even on the wind streams here, where the greatest focus of are is basically just south of Newcastle, right down into the south coast. Really nice looking there. Definitely looking like an interesting system. It's one of these hybrid systems. You can see here, just a really deep trough with whatever that's going to be called. Probably going to be just an embedded low within the trough itself, slash perhaps the hybrid that we had last time, whatever. But you can see those figures here, winds. You can see really just hurrying out to the Hunter right down into the south coast. Some pretty nasty gusts there. You can see the Newcastle for a start is 50 knots on Saturday afternoon. Pretty impressive. And it starts to slide down the coast, which is pretty ECL-esque, to be fair. But what we see here actually more represents what we saw the last two occasions, the last two events we have, which is that deep coastal trough with an embedded low vorticity circulation, whatever technical term you want to apply to it, don't care. But really that deep coastal trough, you can see the fetch just coming from thousands of kilometers out into the Coral Sea, West Pacific, Tasman, really just sucking that in and then ramming it into a focal point, basically from the Hunter down to the south coast. Really interesting scenario, very wet scenario that, and you can see it hanging around. Again, it's still a massive trough. You can see here how the wind streams are just all combining, colliding into each other, converging into each other, and then wrapping into this focal point here. Again, just south of Newcastle, right through to the south coast, mid-south coast. Definitely a massive marine inflow into this thing. That's plenty of moisture to feed it, really quite significant. And then heading into early Sunday morning, you can see it's still just sitting there, and starting to then start to pivot and tilt a little bit. You can see the northern part now starting to develop off the far north coast and the very north, mid north coast. Very complex situation again. Another one of these big messes that someone will, somewhere will put, no doubt, develop a label for it. But at this stage, pretty some wild, wet, and windy, woolly weather. Again, we're under the peak of it. It still hasn't not backed away yet. It's now into early Sunday morning and it's still ramming up through us. But you can see it's starting to lose its inflow engine down here. Some pretty gusty southerlies there, but the whole beast that's been feeding it was just this easterly, northeasterly flow into it, which is where it's getting all its beautiful fuel from. It's starting to break down. And you can see it's starting to focus on this big developing Tasman layer way out here. It's still very deep trough. Incredible sort of system. And it's just, I hope these three systems are going to help you. Someone in the meteorological aspect will actually do some case studies in this, because they've been absolutely just phenomenal in terms of just they've developed what they are, give it a label, develop a label, whatever it is. But you can see this is just a ginormous, choppy, lowy thingy, a couple of embedded circulations, vortices. You can see three here, and we're going to see another Fujiwara. Looks like we're probably going to see another Fujiwara effect here. Almost four of those at one stage here. You can see one there, one there, one there. Oh my God! Another repeat of early July, end of June. Definitely a Fujiwara going on here. 1, 2, 3 situations here. Look at that. Incredible. I mean, to have one, that's incredibly rare, but to have two within the space of 4 weeks, I think, I don't know, I don't think there's any words left in the hyperbole dictionary to describe it, but that's absolutely outstanding. Definitely another sort of Fujiwara event. Just multiple vorticities just swirling around off each other. This one's a bit further north than the last one. And so, but obviously they're going to divert most of the attention away from the coast. So you can see here that there's still pretty strong southeasterlies pushing in. So you probably have to go gusty sort of stream showers. But most of the activity, it looks like it starts to finish off Sunday lunchtime, Sunday afternoon, as this system starts to Fujiwara and dance around each other out there in the middle of the Tasman, with Lord Howe Island probably getting the best seat in the house in terms of that. Just multiple. I mean, look, can you have a 4 Fujiwara? I mean, can you have a 5 Fujiwara? I mean, I guess you could have as many as you want. They're pretty not true lows, some of those things, because there's definitely some there, but it's just, I don't know. Access has either been visiting that lady down in Victoria who had the mushrooms, or it's a little bit excited, but all over Red Rover for us anyway, sort of Sunday afternoon, evening. Definitely some strong winds off the far north coast and northern mid-north coast into Sunday night and early Monday. Yes, this system starts to dance around each other, but you can see basically consolidates out there in the middle of nowhere. And that should be the end of it for most of it for us. What a fascinating situation. All right, let's have a quick look at Icon and see what it's doing. Absolute fascinating situation. Anyway, so Icon pretty much supports Axis in terms of, developing coastal trough, this surge coming through, really starting to fire it up into Wednesday night. Beautiful sort of imagery of this, whatever the systems end up being, like, just incredible the way they're developing. Look at this, just absolute. You can just draw like a chalk line almost down there between the two halves of it. Incredible. Pushing into Thursday morning now, Icon is definitely not far off. It has actually more of the actual interesting activity well off the coast, unlike Axis, which had it obviously, if you recall, back towards the coast. Well off there, definitely some, you see that very gusty sort of southerly sort of flow pushing in, putting to Icon, and we're going to Thursday and Friday, which is when this is the money shot coming up. Let's see what it does here again. It's the southeasterly flow pushing ashore. Weak coastal trough coming down there. You can see how the wind streams are bending up again, that little hook in it, like the old Nike. You can see here developing off the southeast Queensland, very far north coast. You can see the coastal trough extending way down to the south. Not as dynamic or as focused as the axis one, but still you can see the range of the winds from a long way out, which will maybe start to pick up that Saturday morning, a bit like axis, but just a different location, a lot further north. And again, you can see here circulation within that sort of deep trough, reinforcing that it's dragging and it slides down the coast. Moving quite quickly down, definitely bringing a period of intense, severe weather, really from anywhere sort of Coffs Harbour down, and just now into a just ginormous trough system, really feeding in and focusing on basically the Hunter through. So yeah, axis, the icon pretty much backs axis up in terms of the general scenario, but it has a different trigger and different starting point. But they both tend to wind up about that Sunday lunchtime, although Icon's a bit earlier and then develops this system up here, deep low off the far north coast, southeast Queensland into Sunday, but definitely backing off us for us Sunday lunchtime-ish. So pretty much the same sort of scenario again. Potential, who knows what's going on. That's just like incredible. Wow. Multi-chord monster. Look at the size of that. Just incredible. All right, let's have. Hopefully, we'll check out GFS quickly and we'll look at the accumulated rainfall. And away we go. And GFS, pretty much the same. Southerly surge, southeasterly surge. Bit of a coastal trough there. Pushes up off the north coast. Surge flows up, meets those beautiful, resplendent waters of the southern Coral Sea. Gives it a tickle. Starts to develop. Pushes a coastal trough away back down. GFS is pretty much in the same book as Icon, which is interesting. Definitely deep coastal trough there, really dragging on that maritime flow right across. And you can see as it pushes south, intensifies, really that southern mid-north coast, pretty much like Icon, to be fair, in general speaking, and then reinforces that, pushing into us. We didn't get as strong as the flow as Icon had or Axis had. You can see here, it starts to push towards us, mainly hammers into Newcastle, and then that system starts to develop off the mid-north coast and southern far north coast, and drags that sort of flow into it, and basically, again, still all over mostly over us for us by lunchtime Sunday, pushing into sort of Sunday afternoon. As this ginormous hole in the Tasman develops. All right, let's go and we'll check into if Mr. EC has updated. Let's have a look. No, please click on the name. Thank you. Thank you. There we go. Nope, no one to do it. There. Nope. There we go. 32 minutes ago. Beautiful. Okay, so EC is fresh off the servers. Let's go. Again, pretty much what everything's been saying for the next 24 to 36 hours, probably. Southerly surge pushing out. Gusty winds off the coast, pushing right up into that far north coast, southeast Queensland. Coastal trough starts to form on the back end of it, pushing down south coast, as you can see there. Definitely a lot more like Axis. This is interesting. Give you GFS and Icon together and Axis and EC. That's my prediction already, just looking at the way this is forming. You can see here the old Nike flick with the bulge, the elbow way back into here, into the Hunter in central Sunny Coast. That trough starts to push right down the south coast. So let's go look. Very much almost not exactly the same as obviously, but pretty much the same. Again, and same location as well. It's sort of southern mid north coast, whereas Icon and GFS like more like the northern mid north coast. And there's Coxsara Kempsey, whereas Access and EC love more around the sort of Tari, Foster Tuncurry, Steel Rocks, Port Stephens sort of zone. It really starts to fire up with that. Yeah. In fact, I swear you I'd had an Access if I didn't look over and see it still on EC because it's almost carbon copy paste of it. Um, you can see this massive northeasterly flow into this, and then it's just the air being absolutely squeezed the crap out of it as it comes across the coast. Yeah, no real, no real sort of embedded low or like Access had, but still a pretty focused divergence zone here right through. So my take's going to be like my guess is before we look at the rainfall. I'm pretty sure Access and EC are going to be pretty wet for us. GFS maybe not so much. Our Icon not sure this really winding up into a pretty nasty system off in the middle of Tasman there. And this is I guess where EC does differ pretty much in terms of every other model. This pretty nasty system here, whether it's a low or what it is, looks like a low, doesn't it? Pretty solid, nasty damaging winds on the far north coast and northern mid north coast, well, even down to probably the southern mid north coast. Still maintains a little bit of frost though going into, and then starts to clear by Sunday afternoon, as opposed to sort of Sunday lunchtime with anything else. But it's a pretty hectic system, whatever ends up developing. Incredible stuff. Incredible stuff. All right, let's go and see what the rainfall, what the accumulation totals are showing for us. So we'll start with EC, which we were on here. So we'll do from, as we normally do, make sure it's in the same increments. We'll just do 24 hours at a time. See into Thursday, some good showers. For those figures you're seeing now, we're actually going to zoom in. Oop. And we'll just focus on that area because we don't really need to look at anything else. So you can see those totals there, their rainfall, it's forecast weather, so their rainfall figures. So EC is going for, nearly an inch, up to an inch on the coast, and up to 15, 20 mil, 70 mils in the west. That's not bad. Tomorrow, and then we'll just go ahead into, if we can push that one, yay. And into Thursday, we see those showers contracting to the coast, which is not unusual as the sort of southerlies push north and that system sort of starts to develop. But still, 7 to 12 mils on the coast, not unwelcome. Not much else anywhere else. Pushing into Friday now. This is when activity sort of starts to ramp up, so we should start to see it getting quite wet. Nearly up to 30 mils on the coast. Really focus is basically, as I said, that the southern Hunter, Sandy Coast, down to the Illawarra. Not bad, but some good falls pushing up into the Blue Mountains as well. That's definitely going to be welcome up there for them. Okay, pushing into Saturday, this is probably where we'll see some pretty significant falls, you'd think, given what we just saw. Yeah, so between sort of 70 mils almost in the Sandy Coast, up in the Upper Hunter there, backing down to right down into the southern Illawarra and northern south coast, and pushing into the Blue Mountains as well. Some pretty big falls there. Even Richmond up to 63 mils, not bad. Good sort of falls there. And let's go into Sunday now. Imagine we'll start to see them taper off because this is when we saw things start to back off. Correct. Let's go. And not surprising, as we saw, we start to back away and consolidate around the giant, whatever hole that is off the Tasman there. Some decent figures still there for Sunday, and that's probably the end of it. Let's just check in Monday. I think that will probably be right the label. Won't be much happening Monday, I don't think. It'll clear up pretty quick. Yeah, just maybe the leftover dregs. All right, let's go back and we'll quickly check. Let's go for Access next. We'll do with it. We'll see what we got it right. Access and EC will be the wetter ones. Let's see how we go. So Access definitely going for a wetter day tomorrow as well. Once that stuff gets going, we can see up to almost 36 mils in the east and 14, 15 mils in the west. Not bad actually. Let's go into Thursday now. I got a suspicion that Axis is probably going to be the wetter out of all of it. But some good falls up there in the Northern Hunter, as we saw. That's where the focus point's going to be. You can see here basically stuff contracting to the coast, maybe up to 11 mils during Thursday. Most of I assume would probably fall overnight Wednesday into early Thursday as everything sort of consolidates and gets going. And we can see that coastal trough starts to develop during Friday. Some good falls into the Illawarra, up to 50, nearly 55 mils, not bad. Coastal Sydney doing all right, and also southern, sort of central and southwestern Sydney doing pretty good too out there. Hello to the Lawn Doctor at Camden. And then into Saturday, I imagine this is going to be pretty wet for most places around. Yeah, so nearly 100 mils up into Sunny Coast there, and Southern Hunter backing up into Singleton and Muswellbrook up their way. They'll welcome that, no doubt. I think 60 mils in Sunny Coast, bit of a hole here. And no doubt that's probably a consequence of the southeasterly flow and hitting the escarpment across here and the Illawarra, a bit of an orographic effect there, sort of rain shadow effect. That's what I imagine. That's what's causing that. Obviously, winds tweak a bit more easterly than they are southeasterly. You could probably a lot more falls sort of penetrate into this area here, but they're probably happy that there's not a lot of falls going in there. Keeps them out of the catchment areas, no doubt. Pretty good falls there though. Wrong thing again. And let's go into Sunday, and I imagine it's going to back down pretty quickly. Yeah, there we go. There's some good falls on the coast though. It's up to 30 mils on the coast of Sydney, up to nearly 40 mils in that sort of sunny coast area. And then up in the hills, obviously Saddleback and up into Knights Range, that sort of stuff there. Knights Hill, sorry, in the Illawarra. And I imagine there's not much happening in Monday. Correcto, some leftover residual showers. All right, let's have a look now at let's save icon for last. We'll go to GFS. GFS still so far everything's going for 20 to 30 mils for most of us tomorrow. So it'll be interesting to see if it comes off. Into Thursday, let's go as usual. Much else showers contracting well as that's the system to start to develop and get organised. And Friday, let's have a look. And there's no surprise there because remember GFS had this system developing far further north than what Access and EC did. So some coastally sort of shower stuff there. And I suspect most of this stuff would be falling sort of late Friday as it is into Saturday. And definitely the focus is more up there in that Northern Hunter, southern mid-north coast. Up to 20 mils here in the Metro, and into Sunday again, up contracting as it disappears. So not surprised there. I did say GFS is probably going to be dry. And there we go. Definitely some residual trash on into Monday, but all over Red Rover Sunday lunchtime afternoon by that. And last but not least, let's have a look at Icon, and then we'll pull up the accumulator for each one. Wednesday again supports everything we've seen so far. Pretty wet, showery tomorrow, up to 30 mils, 20 to 30 mils is like pretty consistent. So good. Let's hope it actually happens though. Be good precursors to see what comes for us. Thursday, again, some of that residual stuff. You can see it contract to the coast as that surge heads northwards and gets organised. The coastal trough starts to develop. Let's go into Friday. Friday a bit wetter on the coast, not so much in the inland. That's not surprising. Again, that southern extension of the coastal trough, but nothing really worrying sort of there or worry about. And then you can see Saturday definitely starts to push back down. Some pretty heavy falls. Sunny Coast, southern Newcastle. So GFS Icon definitely favouring that sort of hunterish Sunny Coast, and then Access and EC more favouring sort of Sunny Coast, Illawarra, and the in Sydney at this stage, but still pretty good falls at nearly 40 mils at Richmond, nearly 50 mils on the coast, and either sort of southwest and south of the Sydney area sort of missing out. Otherwise, not bad. And then Sunday, pretty better falls in rather than sort of massive heavy falls, some good follow-up falls, and again, sort of all over Red Rover, some good residual sort of goodbye, it's all over sort of type falls. Yeah, only up to 20 mils in the Illawarra and 17 mils on the coast, nearly up to 11 mils in the west. That's not bad. And I imagine that will be definitely all before about lunchtime on Sunday. And then Monday, I think we'll probably see maybe some scabby sort of showers, left behind. Otherwise, it is good night, Irene. All right, let's go and have a look at the actual accumulated forecast now for the whole period of time. So we'll start with Icon because we're on there now. up to 130, 140, 160 mils on the coasts, with Icon up to sort of 60 to 70, 77, nearly 80 mils in the sort of west and northwest, and in the southwest, probably 50 mils, maybe even less on the Icon scenario. On GFS definitely all focused across Newey, 150, 160 mils there, not bad, nice falls there, but really across the Sydney Metro, 60 mils out west, 60 mils on the coast, so pretty, maybe 50 mils in the southwest, so pretty much an even uniform sort of fall across there for everybody, not bad. All right, let's have a look at access. I know that it's even the wettest of all of them. Let's see. Yeah, so nearly up to 200 mils in the sunny coast there. Definitely Newcastle up to maybe 90, 80 mils there. And Sydney 150 mils on the coast. Then that's sort of definitely a bit of a break, and then more as you get to the orographic effect in the west. Richmond at 71 mils, nice. Southwest and sort of central 65, 50 to 65 mils. So, and Illawarra obviously getting pretty smashed on that one. 170 mils on the old gong, nice and wet for them. And lastly but not least, we'll look at what EC is showing us. EC probably the consistent or widespread fall to everybody, to be honest. 170, 120 mils in the old Newey, right down the coast, 140 mils, Budgewell, Sunny Coast, 120 mils, then 140 mils on Sydney Coast, even 100, 10, 115 mils in the central. You can see again here the sort of the effects, that sort of rain shadow effect of the escarpment there in the Illawarra. Definitely so it has a bit of an effect. You can see that rapidly backs away there into that sort of yellow areas, which is about, what's that, 85. But I mean, I don't think the lawn doctor at Camden will sneeze it between 80 to 85, 90 mils out his way. I'm pretty happy with that. Get the grass, continue the grass going. Not too many heavy falls going into the sort of catchments areas there at this stage to put pressure on them, but we'll definitely obviously keep an eye on that as we go. And obviously that Knights Hill Saddleback area here, definitely some massive falls there, but pretty consistent across the whole area there for EC as opposed to the other ones. All right, that's probably about it. Let's go into the chat. Hello, everybody. The Mayor of Camden is in here himself, Mr. Sharp. G'day, Rachel. Hello, Cody. Lovely to see you. Mr. Camping is I Go Camping. Hello, ladies. Mr. O'Callaghan, the Mayor of Freshwater here. Lovely to see you. Hope you and the family are well. Not long to start your new job, Mr. I Go Camping. Excited about that, I think. Let's go. Miss Kyle Price, hello. And EJ Kehoe, we have missed you, EJ. Lovely to catch you. Sean, lovely to see you too. Been a while. Well, yesterday, of course, but feels like a while. Lovely to see you all. Naz1967. Hello, Naz1967. Lovely to see you. Not sure if I remember who that is exactly. Sorry if I do forget, but lovely to see you. Welcome, 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 everybody. Oh, very good. Good to see. I was hoping Mr. Freck to come back tonight because I really had some lessons to school him about the fact he said there's no such thing as a warm core lower than a tropical cyclone, but he obviously didn't want to dance with the devil tonight. I didn't have much time yesterday to really debate with him. Unfortunately, I had to do my husbandly duties and also I'm not going to say my pussy duties because that sounds totally inappropriate and YouTube will probably block me, but I'm not sure what's the word. Animal husbandry duty? No, that sounds even worse. That sounds like one of those things where they get the syringe and make other good cows and horses. I'm not sure. It's called parental duties because Stormcat is really my little child. Yeah, pretty. Bob's your uncle. Lovely to see you. Waggle, waggle. I'm not sure who you are either, but lovely. Welcome. Always love to see some different people. And Bob is actually my brother, not my uncle, but close. But lovely to meet you. Lovely to catch you all on here. Might take your body to work, Rachel. Yes, I definitely would if I were you. I don't know. I would think we'll be late tomorrow morning at this stage, but actually, that's a good point. Thank you for reminding me, Rachel. See, this is why I have. It's important you're here. We can probably put the radar up in the background while we're yapping. You can see some showers starting to actually form down near Goulburn, which is interesting. So, um, nothing much for us yet, but as that cloud starts to hit the Blue Mountains and start to bank up, which you can see here now, you can see it sort of squishing up against it as it pours in. Um, yeah, nothing much here at this stage, is there? Way out near Windra, is that how you pronounce it? Ugara, something like that. New Parks, still a fair way away, but yeah, there's a couple of little blue returns there in the upper Hunter, starting to start to squeeze some moisture out of it. So we'll keep an eye on it, but obviously we'll keep you updated if anything changes. But I mean, models did have something falling overnight, so just be prepared. But tomorrow does look wet. I think it'd be nice to have a nice wet day, wouldn't it? Without the worry of anything, but we'll see. Alrighty, well, I pretty much covered everything. We'll be back tomorrow night, obviously, as the situation develops and some fresh off the mod. So 6 p.m. I know it's not the best time for everybody, but it sort of is the best time in respect of everybody. I guess the best we can do. We don't have too late, because then sort of pushes into other sort of stuff as well. And people's favorite TV shows, and I would never ever want to compete with people's favorite TV shows. Um, Not the best we can, not the best we can do in the washing. Nope, not at all. Early next week might though, because it looks like it's going to be a bit of a dry surge at the back end of this, but definitely not at this stage. To do your washing. I'm sorry to see you. Otherwise, that sounds like about it. I thank you again for your company. It's been so lovely to see you all, and been so well behaved tonight. So I'm going to give you all a little lolly. Here you go. Just jokes. Take care. We'll keep you updated as well. Let's hope we get some great rain this weekend, but none of the damaging sort of stuff that comes with it. But yeah, I mean, looks like another one of those complex, annoying, messy, hard to pin a tail on the donkey systems. But 3 of these in so many weeks is absolutely outstanding. So I guess we'll see. Otherwise, be kind to each other. Uh, look out for wackos, as we know. And I shall leave you with the dulcet tones of whatever this is in A minor or A major or whatever the musical note is. Ciao. Thanks again for your company and catch you later.